Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chukudalo Kafor. I'm a student at Cuyahoga Community College, and I'm also a Democracy Fellow working with Campus Vote Project. Today, we'll be talking about when a few votes made a difference. And talking with us today is someone who I have so much respect for. She's an alumni of Cuyahoga Community College, and she is serving in her capacity as a councilwoman for the county. And have with us here today is Councilwoman Chantel Brown. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Dalu. Thank you for having me. How are you today?
I am fine, thank you. It's such an honor. I have read so much, I have heard so much about you and the amazing things that you're doing. It's really an honor and a great privilege to be doing this interview with you today.
You are so kind. Thank you for having me. It's my privilege to be here, and I just want to acknowledge the wonderful work that you're doing. Without people like you, my job would be even harder than it already is. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. So I know you're a really busy woman, and we're going to try and make this as short as possible. First of all, talking about the topic, when a few votes made a difference, I do know that you have a story to share with us about that, a personal experience. So we would love to hear your story.
All right. So when I first got into politics, my first race was a city council race. I started out as a city council representative in Warrensville Heights, Ohio, which is where I still reside. And I did what I thought were all of the right things. I introduced myself to my neighbors. I campaigned door to door, not kiss babies, all those things you do in campaign, right? So the night ended, and you can see how the election votes are coming in. And at the end of the night, I was down by 6 votes.
Wow.
And yes, 6. And you know what? Because I am a child of faith, I trust God's infinite wisdom. I wasn't devastated. Naturally, there's some disappointment, but I was okay because I felt like, okay, I did everything that I thought I could possibly do. This must not be my destiny. I trust God's infinite wisdom. I am moving on. Well, little did I know there was these things called provisional ballots. And there were
Yeah.
23, yes, there were 23 in my race. To just give people a quick understanding, provisional ballots happen if maybe you request an absentee ballot and change your mind and vote in person, or maybe you've moved and you haven't updated your voter registration so they aren't on the roll. So provisional ballots are used to allow you the opportunity to vote, but to also make sure you're not trying to take advantage of the system and vote twice. So there were 23 in my race. And after those 23 were counted, there were three of us in the race. I ended up winning by 7.
Wow.
Yes, so a 13 vote swing my way, and for me that 7 also represented perfection, completion, and God. And so I felt like it was a divine intervention on my behalf to be involved in politics, and so it also keeps me humbled and focused on my mission. So I never lose sight of how I got here. It's never been about me. I feel like I am an instrument of God's divine will. And so it has helped me, I think, navigate some often turbulent waters, but it also keeps me very focused. So yes, so people who think that their vote doesn't make a difference, it really does. And I can also recall during that campaign, I registered probably 5 people that had never voted before. One was a
Wow.
man that was a little over 50 years old. So just imagine, that
That's
helped lead me to victory essentially.
it did. It's really nice to hear that story because working with people, interacting with people over the past few weeks, over the past few months, you hear things like, oh, it doesn't really matter, which really leads me to the second question. We have people coming up for different positions, making promises, oh, I want to do this, I want to effect this kind of change. And they get in there, and sometimes they get overwhelmed with what they have to do, or they get carried away with the opportunity and the office they find themselves in. How do we as voters hold them accountable to their promises?
So what I would recommend is, first of all, participating in the civic process. One of the things that I did the very first time and the second time that I ran for public office is that I went to the meetings. Our meetings as elected officials are open to the public. And now more than ever, it's easier to attend meetings because they're virtual. So you don't have to get up and drive in your car. You don't have to work around maybe a challenging schedule, they're available online. So if you can find out when your local community is holding a meeting or your local representatives are meeting, pop in. Those meetings are open to the public. That is your freedom. That is your opportunity to understand what it is that we are doing when we're in office. And so that would be the first thing that I would encourage people to do. And then just kind of keep your pulse on what it is that they are doing in the absence of meetings. Like right now, we're in recess, but we'll be reconvening next month. So I often find myself encouraging people to use our cell phones for more than selfies and social media, right? It is an awesome research tool. You can, one of the things that I'm so humbled by, you said you Googled me. So you've done some research. You can find out what you want to find out about folks, people. So you just have to take full advantage of the resources that are at your disposal and push. And when you see someone who is abusing their power or taking their influence for granted on the reverse side, then call them out on it. And if they don't respond in a way that is favorable to the citizens they have been elected to serve, there's always an election around the corner.
True.
You can vote them out or run for their seat. And I say that, as an elected official. So I don't take this for granted. I know that I work for the people. And so sometimes there are people in government that need to be reminded of that. So remind us.
Okay. It's enlightening because sometimes people feel like when I vote, that's it, but they don't know that the obligation goes it's a whole process. For the next few years, you have to hold them accountable, let them know this is what you're supposed to, this is what you promised us, and you're not delivering on those promises.
Yes.
Has there been any situation as a council woman where a few votes made a difference, like you were a deciding vote for a situation or something?
Countless times. Which one should I choose? I'll tell you, when I first came on board, one of the challenges or close votes, I shouldn't even call it a challenge. One of the close votes that I had was for deciding who our council president would be.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was kind of a tight race, and so and I was new to the body. I was the newest member, so that put a lot of pressure on me. I'm like, I'm not sure. So, but it's easy to count votes when you have 11 people. So I ended up voting for our current county council president, who has served us very well. And I think any of my colleagues would have made great leaders, but that was one of the very first votes that my vote was actually like the swing vote of it all. And then the other time, as far as policy goes, we've had a number of policy issues. Fortunately, and I know, and this is a nonpartisan theme, but I will share this. On our body, we're 8 Democrats and 3 Republicans. So generally, things kind of lean more favorably when we have Democratic issues, but not always, though. So because we do have some, what we would call maybe more moderate Democrats. So some of the more narrowly or hard fought victories were the plastic bag legislation. There was a ban on plastic bags, but since the pandemic, we've had to pull that back. The other was the Q renovation that received a lot of pushback from the community, and that was in part because people didn't understand how the resources we were using to make that project come to fruition had to be used that way. So there's a lot of stuff. And so that's the other thing that I would encourage people who think that voting is the first step. No, elected officials have such a tremendous impact on your everyday life, things that we probably don't even think about on a day-to-day basis, from who's picking up your trash to whether you can carry plastic bags. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
we should always bear that in mind. And then I'll say this one last thing, and I know we were supposed to keep it brief, but this is my passion. So one of the things that kind of hit me more recently is that we say exercise our right to vote, and I like to even broaden that to exercise our civic duty. And you look to be pretty fit, Dalu, and you know that when you exercise, you're not going to get results the first time.
Oh yes, you keep
right?
going.
You're going to get the results that you want the first time. It's called exercising for a reason. So you got to keep doing it, y'all. You want to see results. You want to see things work out.
Yeah.
Exercising. So that's my closing little statement on that. All right.
Okay, before you go, it's been an honor. It's been a great privilege to do this. What word? I mean, I believe at the end of the day, the link is going to be shared to a lot of people, not just people in Cleveland, not just people in Cuyahoga, all around the world. We want to send the message that it's important to vote no matter where you find yourself. What word of advice would you leave for people? Because I know voting, getting people to register to vote is your passion.
Yes.
What word of advice do you want to give to people about voting?
Vote like your life depends on it, because in these current times, it actually does. And so I would just encourage people, vote, vote, vote. I mean, whether you are white or black, rich, poor, gay, straight, Republican or Democrat, voting levels the power in this country. We only get one vote. No matter who you are, you get one vote. So when you think that it doesn't matter, or you think that it doesn't count, you are just giving your power away. And trust and believe, people don't try to take things from you that don't have value. So when you think about the suppression and oppression and the things that people are doing constantly to try to prohibit you from utilizing this power, that should make you fight all that much more harder to make sure that you're using it every opportunity that you get. So vote like your life depends on it, because it actually does.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the honor to do this. And we want to thank you for all that you do at Tri-C, what you do at Cuyahoga. We really are seeing your work, and we are really, really grateful for all that you do. Thank you for your time, and God bless you, ma'am.
Thank you. God bless you too. And thank you for the opportunity and this platform and your audience. You are doing great work. I appreciate you also.
Thank you. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. As you've heard, make sure you vote. Vote like your life depends on it. If you want more information, there's a link just below. Click on the link, get more information. Make sure you do your research on your candidates. Make sure you know who you want to vote for. Make sure they stand for what you want, and make sure you hold them accountable. And don't forget, voting registration is still open up until October 5th, and you can print out your sample ballots October 6th and get to do your research on your candidates. Please go out there, register to vote, and vote like your life depends on it. Have a great day.